Welcome to Hazard Communication Awareness Training, HAZCOM Part 1. This is an annual awareness training. We'll get this every year. Hazardous communication awareness comes in two parts. Part 2 will follow. Please pay attention, finish the quiz, and make sure you submit your form. Okay, the Hazard Communication Standard, also known as the Right to Know Act, is an important standard in our workplace. We want to make sure that you understand what chemicals we have in the Independence plant, what potential hazards those chemicals can pose, and what PPE you need to wear to protect yourself. Here's a summary of the chemicals that we have on site. Our chemical storage room and COP chemicals you can see on the left. You can see that the common denominator here is that they are corrosive. All right, so you need to make sure that you have the correct PPE on to protect yourself from the chance of being burned by these chemicals. The chemicals on the right are the chemicals that we have in our tea processing. You can notice also that corrosive, and corrosive. So PPE is very important when you are working with these chemicals. Also, mixing chemicals such as ammonia, acids, detergents may release a harmful gas. That harmful gas may cause damage to your eyes, lungs, and mucous membranes. So never mix chemicals unless the label says specifically to mix them. The Hazard Communication Standard calls out very specific labeling requirements. Every secondary container holding a hazardous chemical must be labeled. In our plant, every secondary container holding any liquid or chemical must be labeled. The big primary containers that the bulk containers that it arrives in should arrive with a label stating clearly what that chemical is and what the hazards are. If you pour anything into a secondary container, it must be labeled. You can get labels for those spray bottles as you see in the pictures. You can get those in the quality lab. The labeling requirements for all containers should have a chemical name. It should state the hazards of the chemical. You can see it might be corrosive, it might be flammable, it might be toxic, etc. It must have the supplier's info, which is the name of the company, their address, and their phone number. Once again, our quality labs have these labels to put on those spray bottles. They're a peel and stick label. You can go get one, put it on your spray bottle, make sure it is legible and readable at all times. If not, go back up and get another label, make sure it's the right label, and get it put on the container. All right, there are several ways that chemicals can enter your body and cause harm. They can enter through open cuts and nicks, through any skin abrasions you may have, anytime you have broken skin, a sunburn or blisters, for instance. They can enter through your mucous membranes, your mouth, your eyes, your nose. And chemicals can harm you by burning and damaging your skin, your eyes, your lungs. There's many ways that chemicals can harm you, which is why it's so important to have a label, to read the label, and to know what chemical you're working with, what the hazards are of that chemical, and what PPE you need to protect yourself. PPE is required anytime you're dispensing chemicals from any of our large containers into a small secondary container. So make sure that you wear splash goggles, a face shield, apron. Make sure you're wearing the right kind of chemical protective gloves and footwear. Make sure that you over protect yourself. Do not go in there thinking that you just need a little bit of protection. Any splash from any chemical could cause lifetime damage to your body. It's serious stuff. Make sure that you pay attention to it. All right, we've talked about safety data sheets and other training. A safety data sheet is the main label for any chemical. It has all the information needed to protect you, to tell you what chemical it is, what the hazards are, what PPE, what first aid, how to clean it up. It tells you everything that you need to know. So we have electronic copies of all our SDS on a website. You can go to the internet using any workstation, type in msdsonline.com. Our username and password are both Unilever SDS, all lowercase. Make sure that you select Independence as the location. All the chemicals for all Unilever sites are in there, and if you're looking for something specific to Independence, but you don't have Independence checked, you may not find it. Make sure that you enter your search criteria in the field and click search, and that'll bring it up. It'll show you everything that there is to know about the chemical. If you're having any trouble with this, make sure you get with your supervisor and they'll walk you through it. Okay, we're almost done. A quick summary of this training. Make sure that you know that household chemicals can be just as dangerous as chemicals at work. Even if you're at Walmart or McDonald's or anywhere, your neighbor's house, treat all chemicals as if they're dangerous. If you want to know anything about a chemical, read the label. Once again, the label will tell you everything you need to know about the chemical. All right, so make sure you know hazardous chemicals can be found anywhere you go. Make sure you never use a chemical in an unlabeled container. If you ever see a chemical in an unlabeled container in the Independence facility, let your supervisor know we need to get it out of there. All right. Also know what chemicals you're using and what their hazards are. You can find all of those hazards, all the PPE you need, all the first aid measures you need from the safety data sheets and the container labels. All right. Chemicals should never be mixed. If you're exposed to chemicals, if you get splashed or spilled on, you rub up against something with chemical on it, make sure you flush your skin and your eyes with plenty of water. Plenty of water to me would be 10 or 12 or 15 minutes. Make sure you report any chemical exposure or spill immediately to your supervisor. Okay, that's it for part 1 of hazard communication. Please make sure that you fill out the quiz. I am grading those quizzes, so you need to make sure that you pay attention and you answer the questions correctly. Make sure that you hit the submit button at the end. Make sure that once you hit the submit button that you get a green success, you have entered the form box pop up. If that box doesn't pop up, then there's something wrong with the form and you need to go back and you probably forgot a question or something. Go back and review the form and make sure that it's all complete. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.